Hi, I'm Terrell Edwards, and welcome to Impact. I will be interviewing families as well as finding out how they've coped with the loss of loved ones. You will see and hear soon how their lives have been impacted.
Police are now beginning an investigation into the murder of a teen.
You know, you want your kids to bury you. You don't want to bury your kids.
And we did try speaking with Johnson's family today. They were not ready to talk with us on camera. Loved ones tell me this was not the outcome that they were expecting.
Hi, Kayla, Dana, it's good to see you guys.
Hello.
Good to see you. How you doing?
All right, good. And I want to thank you all for sharing your time with me here. I've got both of you here because you both suffered some loss. Your brother, Ike, passed away a few years ago.
Yes.
Well, several years ago.
30 years ago.
30 years ago this year.
Yeah, and you both could help fill in some holes because you were at two different places, right?
Yes, we were.
Yeah. So I mean, if you don't mind, Kayla, why don't we start with you? It's 1992, right?
Correct.
And it's a Tuesday night.
Yes.
Wednesday morning.
Yes, early Wednesday morning.
And you get a call.
Yes, I get a call from one of Dana's ex-girlfriends, Tanya. She called to the house about 1 o'clock, and the first call was Edie. It's my nickname, childhood name, so everyone knew me as Edie.
They used to call you Edie.
They used to call me Edie.
Okay.
If you really know me, it was Edie.
Okay.
So she called and she said, "Hey Edie, how you doing? Is everything okay?" It's 1 o'clock in the morning, so I'm like, "Yeah, everything fine." So I hung up the phone, and so she called again, and she was like, "Edie, Ike got shot tonight."
Your brother Ike.
My brother Ike. And I was like, "Is he okay?" And she said, "No, he didn't make it." So I hung up the phone. At that time I was in 11th grade, going to Andrew Jackson. So I didn't know what to do. I was still home with my mother and two younger siblings. My mother was at work, and so I didn't wake the children up. And I say the children because I'm 6 or 7 years older than my baby sister, and 3 or 4 years older than my baby brother. So they were my children at the time. So
just at that moment, I'm sorry. So just at that moment, you had a lot of things running through your mind.
Right.
Like who you going to talk to, what do you need to do?
Right. And I didn't know at the time what to do.
So Kayla, you get the call that Ike had been shot.
Yes.
And it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and you call your mom.
Yes.
She's at work.
She's at work. I tried calling several times, but didn't get a phone call. Didn't get an answer. So about 15-20 minutes later, after I received a phone call from Tanya that Ike had been killed, all the friends and family came over. The family that was in town and the friends gathered outside, yelling and screaming and crying.
People from the neighborhood?
No, our childhood friends and people that knew us came over and to let us know what was going on, and also to make sure we were okay. My mom wasn't there at the time, so some of the friends went and picked my mom up from the job and let her know what had happened and brought her to the house. My mom came in. She wasn't crying or anything until she saw me crying. And we went in the bathroom and we cried together, and she came out and she said, "Where's my baby?" And one of the guys, Keith, was his name, one of my brother's childhood friends, said, "Well, he just left from up to the Mirage and that Ike was still laying on the ground." So my mom wanted to go and see him.
So there was quite a few people at your house after you got that call. Next thing you know.
Yes.
So you and your family and Ike, you all must have been well loved in the community.
We were. We were.
Yeah. So
That's why I couldn't believe that something like that had happened to him. And still to today, I thought that people really cared and loved us, our family, and people always wanted to be around us all the time. And to my parents' house with the boys, and Dana cut hair and used to make clothes and do all kind of different things at the house, and it was just a popular family. So we was devastated that someone had did that to him.
So you guys went. So your mom went to see Ike's body.
Yes, my mom and I and some of the other friends went there to see the body, and he was still laying out on the ground when we got there.
Just talking to you all just brings so much stuff to my memory about that night. I know Dana was away that night. I remember it so well, and just talking to you all is just coming back. I remember that night, all of us going to a Christmas tournament that night, and Ike being late, coming in. I remember him coming in, and he came in the old Ike style. He came in looking nice, shining, jewelry on. I remember him coming in, and he just coming in taking bets from anybody who wanted to take a bet. And I remember all of us coming over here. It was a cold night, and actually I remember those same guys who ended up murdering him. Unfortunately, unbeknownst to me, I helped one of those guys actually get into this same club here. He couldn't get in that night, and the guy at the door was giving him a hard time. And so I told the guy he was all right, let him in, And I remember leaving out to the parking lot, and it was a guy who had on the hood, and he really didn't lift his head. He just spoke, and we spoke to each other. I jumped in the car, left, went over to another club, and after the club, the plan was to actually come back over here, but they took me home. They took me home, and the rest of my friends came over here, and after that, that's when everything went down. So just being over here in this place bring back just a lot of memories for me.
Now, Dana.
Yes.
You're somewhere else. You're not where you could have been with your family.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Just thinking about this story, it brings tears to my eyes even today after 30 years. I was incarcerated, and my first year of a 15-year sentence that I was doing when Ike was murdered.
This was your first year?
Yes, I was in my first year of doing time the year that Ike was murdered in 1992. Just thinking about that right now, it's hurting, but by the grace of God, I made it through. And that particular time, when he got killed, I was inside my cell, sleep. It was about 5:30 in the morning. But let's go back a minute. During that summer, I had dreams and little visions of Ike being dead or getting killed, because I was having a lot of friends getting killed around that time.
You had dreams?
I had dreams. Yeah, it's like God was just showing me. He was preparing me for what was about to happen. Yes, he was preparing me. And that morning, about 5:30, as I say, I was laying in my bunk in my cell, and an officer came and tapped on my bunk. He said, "Dana," he said, "Miller, put on your clothes and go up to the chaplain's office." Now, mind you, if they're telling you to go to the chaplain's office that time of morning, it has to be a death or something in your family that they notified the prison to give you an opportunity to know what's happening.
What went through your mind at that time?
I jumped up out my rack, put on my clothes real quick, didn't even wash my face, and the only thing was on my mind, I was just saying, "Please, Lord, don't let it be my brother. Don't let it be my brother. Please, God, don't let it be my brother." I'm rushing up to the chaplain's office. When I get there, first thing I said when I saw the chaplain on the phone behind his desk, I said, "Chaplain Priest, tell me it's not my brother. Please tell me it's not my brother." He told me, he said, "Hold on a moment, Dana. It is your brother. He was a victim of a robbery." I said, "He's all right. Is he okay?" He said, "No, Dana, he didn't make it." I broke down and cried. I grabbed his desk, and he said I lifted. I don't remember because I was out of it. And I just cried. I said, no, Lord, don't let it be my brother. They killed my brother, Lord. They killed my brother. I don't want to live. I don't want to live. I didn't think I can go any further because Ike and I was very close. We were very close. When you saw Ike, you saw Dana. When you saw Dana, you saw Ike. That's all we hear around Jacksonville, Dana and Ike, because we were very popular. And just to think that my brother had lost his life to a senseless murder, it devastated me at that moment. And as I was talking with the chaplain, he was telling me what was going on. I was telling him I couldn't make it. He was on the phone with my mother. And he said, Dana, your mother's on the phone. I said, well, let me talk to her. I talked to my mother. I said, Ma, I can't go on. I don't want to make it. She said, Dana, we need you, son. We need you. We need you to be strong for the family. It seemed like a light turned on just that instant. It's like my whole life just flashed before me. And I knew my assignment. I knew what I had to do. I had to muster in the strength from God, because I knew now that I would have to carry my family, be that strength for them. Even though I was incarcerated, I had to be the man that God wanted me to be, not knowing that this incident will allow me to be who I am today in Christ.
So there was never really a moment where you blamed yourself or anything like that? You just knew that you had to start putting things in action and taking care of your family?
I did. Just thinking about what you just said about did I blame myself? No, I didn't blame myself, but I was angry with myself because I looked at Ike and I was very popular in the city. Everybody we thought loved us, which you can't say they didn't. You know, at the time of Ike's murder, I felt lost. I felt like both our lives came to a tragic ending. Me in prison and with him being dead. And I was in awe. I was like, how could this have happened? How could we have gotten to this point? When you're on the inside looking out, you don't think these things can happen to you. You think you're untouchable. And reality had set in. And once reality set in, and when Ike got killed, I realized I had to do something with my life. I had to do something to help his legacy live on in a positive way. And so, like I was saying, the night he was killed, my mother was telling me that she needed me. A light turned on, and like my life, God just flashed in front of me, just said, I got you. I got you. I'm finna show you what I can do with you, what I want to do with you. Just submit yourself to me. And from that day on to today, God has really showed out in my life. So.
Right here was the area that she actually passed out.
The car, yellow tape was crossed here. So we came out here to see him. We were thinking that he's already going to the mortuary, but actually my brother was still out here laying on the ground. So my brother's girlfriend at the time parked her car right on the road because the yellow tape was here, and I dropped to the ground about here. Once I seen my brother laying on the ground, I dropped and just started screaming and yelling because we couldn't get to him, and he was actually right over here. Some of this area is cleaned out now, but it was wooded area at the time. So he was trying to get away and run in the woods, but he dropped dead probably about right here. So my brother was laying on the ground about here on his face when we arrived. I think it happened around 1 o'clock at night. They didn't pick my brother's body up until around 4:35 in the morning.
Kayla, but your
you had a different experience. You guys were, like you both said, that your family were well loved, and
Yes.
you felt that up until that point, right?
Yes.
What did that change after that night?
It did. It changed for me because I thought that people loved us, and I say, how can you love our family and love my brother and do something like this to him and do something like that to hurt our family? So up until this day, my trust issues is, you know, I don't trust anyone. And I trust just a little because I know that we need people. And you can't go on in the world and don't need anyone and say, well, I don't need friends and I don't need people. We do. And I suffered many years up until now. It's still the same way. And I think that's just me anyway, too. Not my personality is, you know, to myself. I got a lot of friends and people that I know that are good to me, but somewhere in there is always, I'm always thinking of trying to find something that's wrong in that friendship or relationship, because I'm like, they can't love me as much as they say they do, because look what you did to my brother. The people who say that they loved him so much, they killed him. And those guys who actually murdered my brother were childhood friends of our family, and they knew my brother and they knew my father, and they did that to him. So, you know, it did change my life a lot to not being able to trust, having trust issues with people. So.
So in 1992, this occurred.
Yes.
1995, there was a trial, and at that trial, what was the outcome, and how did you feel about that?
Well, I was incarcerated. I was still incarcerated in 1995. I think I had about 4 years in by then. Yeah, I had 4 years in by then. I was on the rec yard. And a guy came up to me, and he saw it in the Chesterfield Times-Union about the guys who was acquitted. He came and he said, Dana, did you see the guys that murdered your brother was acquitted? I said, no, I ain't see that. So he showed it to me. So with me hearing that and reading it in the paper, it sent me on a downward spiral. Back to when my brother was murdered, it felt like it happened all over again. These guys was getting off for his murder. And even though, like I said, I was making life changes during those times when I was incarcerated, when I think about his death, revenge. I was a very revengeful person. I was the type of person that if I felt like you had anything against me or you tried to rob me or hurt me, I was going to come get you. That was just how I was. God had to take that away from me.
Well, you had a choice to make while you were still incarcerated.
I had a choice to make, yeah, and I want to share this with you. The guy that murdered my brother, his brother was incarcerated with me at the same prison at the same time. And I had a choice whether I was going to take revenge on him or whether I was going to try to make my date to come home on time. And I had to choose to make my date, because God was working with me, and I saw how I was changing. But losing a sibling to a senseless act of murder for no reason, that's a hard pill to swallow. And no one can tell you how you should feel or what you should feel if they haven't experienced that. Now, I was going through a lot of emotional changes because I was incarcerated, for one. I lost my brother, and then God is dealing with me. And mind me, I had over 30-some years. Well, I was still in my 20s when I was in my late 20s. I had over 20-some years of seeing things I was doing in the world to overcome, by the grace of God. But it was hard. And like I said, when that verdict came in that it was acquitted, and then they laughing. I heard after I called home and found out they were laughing in the courtroom because of the verdict. Oh man.
How'd that make you feel, okay?
I was angry. I wanted to kill up everybody. The mama, sister, brother. I didn't care at the time who it was. And
did you hear about the laughing going on?
Oh, I was there. So when they found the guy who murdered my brother, but we know he murdered him, they just couldn't, have evidence or whatever went on in the courtroom. They couldn't convict him at the time, but he looked over at my mom when they found him not guilty, and he laughed at her. And my mom sat there and she was quiet. She didn't show any emotions or anything. And only thing going through my head at the time, because I was a little older then, we're gonna take him out. Because ain't nowhere in the world I'm sitting there and they gonna get away with this. So again, and I knew people and I already knew people, but I started to connect with a lot of my brother friends and people that he knew in the streets and everything. So my mentality started to change from, I'm not this little girl anymore, I'm this dangerous woman that I had became.
You kind of took on that revengeful spirit at that time.
Yeah, my spirit that I had.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
All I had to do was make a phone call, And my mom, I told her when we left out the courtroom, and I told her, I say, it's over with. I say, we taking all of them out of here. And my mom said, well, don't tell me about it. I don't want to know anything about it because I serve Jehovah. My mom is a Jehovah Witness, and she said, I want to be here for my kids, and we're going to see your brother again. So she just read some spiritual scriptures to me, and just to, calm me down and let me know that everything was going to be okay, and let God handle everything. But if it wasn't for her, like Dana said, when he got the phone call in prison, my mom was saying that we needed Dana. My mom was able to calm me down at the time to say, hey, we need you, we need each other, and I don't want you to go and do anything. Just let God take care of him and his family. And I listened to her, but for many years, I was like, I'm not going to listen. I'm back and forth with it. I'm like, no, I just won't tell her. But I was trying to learn as much as I could about his family and his people he would be around and everything, because I was planning on something.
But you didn't.
But I did. So
I'm glad you did.
I'm glad too.
Yes.
As I end up getting pregnant and having my own children and getting married and having my family and everything. So it was hard, and it's still hard to the day, knowing that nothing happened. Well, we think nothing happened, but we don't know the suffering that they're going through. And I think one of the guys ended up getting really sick and in and out the hospital over the years. So they are suffering. They're still alive, but I hear the different stories of things that's not going good with them at all.
So you were in high school when it started. We're at about 1995 now, and you're no longer in high school.
No.
You're pursuing some career moves, and
Right.
Dana, 2001 comes along, and
2001 comes along.
and you get out of prison.
Yes, I do. Thank God for freedom.
Yeah.
2001 came along, and my sister, she came. That was the day, September 27th, 2001.
Okay.
So she taking that day off. She knew I was scheduled to be released that morning, so she was there about 9 o'clock to pick me up. and she asked me where did I want to go first. The first place I wanted to go to my brother's grave site. So we left when we took that long road to Breslin Cemetery. Went to the cemetery, and she showed me where his grave was. And I stood over his grave, and I immediately, when I saw his name engraved in that tombstone, Isaiah Ike Miller, I instantly started crying. I bust out and cried for about 15 minutes. My sister held me. I cried and cried and cried. I haven't cried like that since I think I was a child. And at that moment, everything that was balled up in me, suppressed in me for 9 years from the time he was murdered, came out. Because mind you, when you're in prison, it's like you're out of sight, out of mind. So when I was in prison, I was able to kind of put it out my mind that he was dead. Just like I was doing time, I just didn't see him over the years. Right. So it allowed me to be able to do my time without all that extra added pressure on me. Still having to be there for my mother and my sister, my siblings, to encourage them while I was incarcerated. It came out. Reality hit me that my brother was gone. I would never see him again. And I cried. Like I said, I cried. I didn't know what to do. I just cried. My sister held me. But it was a relief. It was a relief. It's like, that was my closure. That was a time of my closure, that I was able to face reality and to move on. I knew at that point that my life had a meaning, and that meaning was to make my mother proud of me, to make my siblings proud of me, and my daughter proud of me. And all I wanted to hear, even when I was incarcerated, when Ike got killed, all I wanted to hear is my mother tell me, Dana, I am so proud of you. I'm glad to have you as my son. And I talk to my mother every other day now. That's all I hear. I'm just so proud of you. And through it all, it hurt that we lost our brother. It hurt, but I believe his death allowed me to become a better man.
The owner of a barbershop near the shooting happened to be outside a nearby church when that gunfire erupted. And he's using his own past hardships to help the youth in his community tonight. On your side, Troy Klest with this man's powerful message.
That's right, this barbershop not only stands as a place to cut hair, but it also doubles as the hub for a non-profit that can help change people's lives.
How can I just come just randomly just shoot innocent people?
Talk inside the Man Cave Barbershop centers on Sunday's shooting. Customers can see the crime scene walking out the front door. Owner Dana Miller can see the crime.
You just hear this boom, 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 boom.
This violence was a part of Dana Miller's life.
I've lost tons of friends. My brother was murdered in the streets. I've been shot up 10 times in the streets. I've been to prison 10 years because of the streets. So I know. I'm not just talking just to be talking, I'm talking from experience.
Miller changed his life and now wants to change this neighborhood too.
Let's come together. Let's make a difference. I'm gonna make my presence more known. And it's not about a monetary thing, it's not about a popularity contest or anything. It's the right thing to do. Because innocent people are getting shot.
Outside the barbershop walls, his newly started nonprofit, Cut One Teach One, does two things.
Thank you, man.
It keeps a person's hair looking clean and offers them a choice. Pick a career or college over committing crimes.
And I want to encourage these young males, young females to stay out the streets because they're going to kill them. And I just want to preach hope. And Jesus is hope to me.
Hope that this community needs. On the east side, Troy Klest, First Coast News. On your side.
Well, I understand you're a pretty good businessman here too.
Yeah, yes, I'm very successful.
Tell me about some of the things that you're doing in the community.
Well, I own a barbershop. I came back to the community out east where I used to sell drugs, and my thing is I help tear down the block I'm here to help build the boat back up, along with my pastor and my church family at In the Word, Pastor Ariel Williams, etc. And I do a lot of activism in the community, talking and trying to mentor to the young fellas, let them know that there is hope, that they can change. And I don't allow them to come to me with excuses, because I've been shot 10 times. I did 10 years in prison. I lost my brother to the streets. I had to start over from making, $55,000 to $60,000 a day to making $750 an hour, and watching guys making tons of money and learning how to refrain from that, stand strong on change by the grace of God. So now I lost a job that I had. They was laying off in 2008. I went back to school, got my barber license, started working in this barbershop, and it was a little closet that I worked in. I turned it into a barbershop. Now I own this shop. This is my shop. I also just recently started a luxury rental car agency along with a couple of more friends, and we're up and running now. So along with that, I invested in a healthcare product along with my sister. And no, not Kayla. I have another sister, Megan Ursula, that stays in Atlanta. She has a hair product that I invested in her, and we do some investment with Kayla with some things. So God is good, and business-wise, I've become I believe I could say a good business person in the community, and I do a lot with in the political scene with downtown. And just over the past summer, I had the White House come to my shop for the vaccination. Yeah, the shots at the shop. You know, they came in, they called me, and they set up in here to vaccinate the community, encouraging them to come and get vaccinated. So a lot of good has come out of my life because of change, and I give God the glory. To God be all the glory. It's not me. It's not me, because I tell you, if I leaned on to my own understanding, I would still be in the same state I was in before I went to prison. And it was only by the grace of God I am who I am. So I give him all the glory.
That's great. That's great. Kayla, I understand you do pretty well for business as well.
Yes, I owned the daycare for almost 20 years. All Kids and Care Learning Academy. I'm retired from doing that now. I owned Kayla Mill Boutique, and I'm a personal stylist, wardrobe stylist for women in Jacksonville and surrounding areas. Kayla Mill is we're in our 10th year this year. We celebrated our 10th year anniversary, February the 24th. And I'm also the event planner here in Jacksonville, and I'm the CEO of Duval Black Women United. And our organization is, we have 24 ladies that's part of my group, and they're all entrepreneurs in the city. So we help each other, and we also help do things in the community also.
Well, you know, I want to thank you guys for sharing your story with me. It's both encouraging, and at the same time shows, your courage. I just had one question for you. Is, I know you mentioned, you give God the glory, and
yes, I do.
You give Him credit for, getting you through your time incarcerated. Is there anyone else that you guys lean on for help through?
What helped me through was, first of all, my family, my mother, my sister, and my siblings, while I was incarcerated. And then when I came home from prison, God blessed me with a good wife, a godly woman. Her name is Shakita. We have 2 sons, and I have an older daughter that I had before prison. They have been a blessing to me to be grounded and to give me that sense of responsibility, to be able to care for someone, care for others. And they taught me how to love all over again, because like I was saying, when I was incarcerated, you're not really able to express love the way you want to, because you're in a place with a bunch of men. You're locked away. So all of those privileges are taken away from you. And when God allowed me to be released and to get all that back again, I really treasure my relationships with people, because I was taken away from that for so long. And I couldn't live. I don't want to live my life bitter because of what happened to my brother. I want to live my life at a point where I am now, rejoicing and in his remembrance of, you know, the fun I had with him. That I thank God that I had 25 years with him on this earth, that he introduced him in my life. And I'm in a good place right now. And like I said, it's been 30 years and I still think about him a lot, but I thank God for the memories. I thank God for the healing that he allowed me to receive every day. And I thank God for family. And once again, my wife, she's been a great support in my growth and who I am as a husband, a man, and a father. So, and my kids and family.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry that you guys had to go through that tragedy.
Yes.
But I can honestly say I'm sure your brother Ike is very proud of you both. Yeah. And glad you guys took the path you did.
We thank you for allowing us to tell our story.